I think Trump's speech was actually largely, this is my opinion, was largely directed towards actually Americans and trying to get Americans who are very, very war weary at the moment to just sit tight for just a second and breathe. I understand that, like, for Israelis and Iranians, this is probably really frustrating to hear because Americans are so we control so much with our vote, but we are also like not very aware because we're not actually dealing with it, and so our 2% more at the pump compared to what everybody else is going through. I realize it's probably really frustrating, but that is the only experience that we have really, and so that is what's being gauged, and the media is on a crusade to like invite fear about like this is a new Iraq, this is going to cause a collapse in the economy, like any anxieties that the American public is having, the media is targeting. So I think Trump's speech was in a lot of ways just towards like just like telling the American people to just trust the plan. It's okay. Like trying to balance that so we don't get too gun shy, before we can finish what we need to finish. The other thing that I wanted to point out is one of the reasons why I think the regime is not falling as quickly as it has been is because the Europeans are a bunch of cocksuckers who don't show up when they're supposed to and give aid. And that's, I mean, like a lot of the infrastructure that's being destroyed could have been possibly more preserved if Europe had put on its fucking ball sack and like come to help us when they were supposed to. Sorry, I have feelings about NATO at the moment. So, like, there's like critical stuff that they have that we didn't have that we needed early on that really could have helped. As much as we destroyed, I do feel like there's stuff that could have been done earlier if the Europeans had done their part. I'm so angry at France and Spain and Beer Stormer, as they like to call him. Like, I just not the people in any of those countries, but just the governments of those countries. Yeah, I just pretty upset with them. They're not doing anything. So I don't know. And I would love, so in terms of words, the Saudis and the UAE have been pretty good at supporting Trump. I would love to see a little bit more firepower coming from them. But and I don't know what to do about the fact that they're bringing in Afghans and Iraqis and other militant groups to come help with that. So just strategically, I have no idea what we're supposed to do, especially if they are loading the vehicles with literally their own families, like the death cult psychopaths that they are. So,
Okay, I will tell you what I think about that, but let me go through the thing. With regards to President Trump's speech, I completely understand why, and this should be how this is how it should be. Like, I know Shadi was earlier also mentioning that they're not mentioning the Iranian people as much. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to, as an American politician, you have to tell Americans what's in it for them. Like, this is like, a state is not a charity. I know some people care about the Iranian people, and that is very, not that's they're good people, they care about other people around other places in the world, but the whole point of a state is to do the things that are in the benefit of your citizens, right? So you can't take your country into war, or whatever you want to call it, by saying that, oh, the Iranian people are being oppressed and they need us. Like, okay, but like, how that's it's really tough for them, but that's not the point of having a government. The point of having a government is to serve the citizens of the country that has elected that government, right? So the case always needs to be made to the American people for what's in it for them, right? And if they paying the price when it comes to grocery prices and gas prices and whatever, then, well, they also have to be convinced, okay, like, what's the benefit in it for us, right? And again, for many Americans, the Islamic Republic is not as an existential crisis as it is for the Israelis. This is why the Israelis, like, they don't need convincing. They know, like, yeah, yeah, like, go for it. These people want to completely annihilate their country, and we're very close with them. But the Americans don't feel that. So that you're right completely. The speech was for the American audience because and going to the American people and saying like, "Oh, the Iranian people need to be liberated." That is not a speech that you give to to the Americans. That is like, I mean, there are other like, what about why not North Korea then? Right? Like, are we gonna
Especially
go to
not
North Korea? Yeah,
especially not after Iraq and Afghanistan, where we went
right,
there being told that we were gonna liberate them, and it was a shit show. So,
right. I mean, yeah, but there's a reason. I mean, North Koreans are living in worse conditions, by the way, than Iranian
objectively, yeah,
people. Right?
yeah.
Yeah. So nobody's talking about going and liberating them because North Korea is more of a local. I mean, I know they send soldiers to Russia and they done some other things around the world, but they are mostly a local problem. They're not, you know. But the Islamic Republic is, spreading its poison beyond its borders, and that's why it's everyone's problem. It's not just a local problem; it's everyone's problem, right? With regards to NATO, though, so the way I think the criticism should be why individual European countries are not participating, because NATO can't participate because for NATO to participate, you need a 100% approval by every member country.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure Turkey is not going to vote yes to that. Okay, so I'm pretty sure even if all of them do, Turkey is not going to vote for yes to that. So that is a no over there. That is a, like, you're not going to have that. So, but yeah, like each member country individually, like especially the countries you mentioned, UK, Spain, and France, them closing the
They
U.S. bases. Yeah, go on.
they well, they're closing their yeah, the way they've treated us, especially given our history. I mean, I mean, to be blunt about it, they're literally the same blood as us. Like, that's the majority of where our ancestry comes from. So, like, that's it's just it seems like no, babe. Sorry, my husband. I just it seems really crazy to me given our history. I understand that they're independent countries, as are we, but like it doesn't make sense to me that they're specifically like
I mean, I don't care about ancestry. I care about the fact that they have been leeching on America's military for their own security, and now they're not returning the favor,
well,
right?
I don't like
I
that
mean,
either. I mean, it's both. I guess it's both. I've been mad about the fact that they've been leeching off of us for a while though. So that's a dull anger at the moment. The higher anger is just the civilizational betrayal is how it feels to me. But
I see Israel closer to United States than these European countries because to me, it's more about values and what you stand for than
I
I don't.
agree. I mean, I agree today. It's just
Yeah,
historically. I
yeah,
don't know.
it
I guess
wasn't the
it's just
case. Yeah, yeah. Back in the Cold War times, it was not the case. Yeah. But I think when it comes to values, Europe is moving farther and farther away from what America and Israel stand for, unfortunately.
and Japan.
Well, in Japan. I mean, Germany was, I mean, maybe like there are some countries in Europe that we are, like Poland, for example, is good.
That's why I'm trying to be
You know?
more specific. I've
Yeah.
taken some feedback from Jeffrey, and I'm trying to be more specific towards my rage and not blame the entirety of the continent.
We're talking about averages, not every country. Poland, we love Poland.
Poland's
And
been
there's
great.
Poland's been great.
Italy's been great.
I don't know. She just like didn't she just came out and said like no, like no, like yeah, no. Actually, she just came out and stopped the Americans from using their bases in Italy as well. So
Oh, I
she,
didn't know that.
yeah,
I'm surprised by that because she's been so far prior to that been
yeah.
really great.
And by the way, the AFD is very anti-American, and it's now showing. The AFD in Germany is now coming out and asking for not just not letting the Americans use their bases, but kicking out Americans out of their bases completely. And this is a concern because AFD is getting more and more popular because of immigration concern.
Well, I think we should
So
just close our bases in Europe then, and then they can
yeah,
just deal with Russia on their own.
Yeah, but I feel bad for Ukraine now because the response is going to be by Americans are like, okay, then
Well,
you deal
no,
with
because
Russia by yourself.
what if we put bases in Poland though, or and Hungary and other places where we could still
But
protect
that's the main
Ukraine.
but that's the main thing all the European countries want from the US, right? So if they do that, they're happy. Like if they put the military bases in those countries and fight back against Russia, that is basically the main thing these European countries want from United States.
I guess I'm not against fighting against Russia. What I'm mostly against
But
is
what? But if you're American now, like they're like, because Russia, okay, from many Americans' perspective, is a Europe problem.
it
It's
is
not an
definitely a
American
Europe
problem.
problem.
Yeah, like
But
from
I
a
don't care.
perspective
I
of
guess
Americans, China. No, from a perspective of America, China is America problem. Russia is a Europe problem. So if the Europeans and the Canadians are getting closer to China and not helping us at all with our issues, then okay, you deal with Russia by your own.
yeah, but Russia and China are also allies. Well,
Well, I mean, the American Trump thinks that they don't have to be. Trump sometimes thinks that if we bring Russia closer to us, I mean, it's all on a spectrum. It's not like it's not binary,
yeah,
right?
it's also hard to gauge. Also, Putin is not gonna. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard gauge. I guess
Right.
I don't know, but
Jeffrey needs to respond to all of this.
You know I'm
okay.
going to.
But yeah,
So,
I
with that oh, go ahead. Finish
oh, I
sorry, I
just
didn't mean
feel like we're against the I guess I feel like it's the same war at the moment. I'm not saying that we should definitely do protect Europe forever from Russia. I just feel like at the moment I'm a little bit okay with it, a little bit more than I would normally be, just because I feel like it's the same war. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, I have nothing else to say though. Jeffrey can go.
Just before Jeffrey says, there's this thing called PURL, PURL, the prioritized Ukraine requirement list that is a critical. Basically, it's an initiative securing over $4 billion for weapons that the Europeans buy from the Americans for Ukraine, right? So the Americans just recently came out and threatened that they're going to stop doing that, and that has made the European countries panic, and they just came out and suggested to President Trump that maybe they might help somehow with the whole situation in Iran. But this because it's not. That is billions of dollars of American revenue, by the way, that they're selling. Because
Also money that
let me
they
let
okay.
me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. I'm not done. I'm not done talking. So President Trump, when he came to power, he stopped like giving direct aid to Ukraine, but he was allowing the Europeans to buy weapons from America to give to Ukraine to support Ukraine. If they ever shut that, there are no like the Europeans have no equivalent weapons that they buy from the Americans to support Ukraine. So that is a huge leverage that America has over Europe. But anyways, let's move on.
So just real quick, and then I'll let Trevor talk. I have also heard or read somewhere, I think heard somewhere that apparently some of the money we sent to Ukraine was being used against like the American election, funding American
I don't
every
know.
single. Yeah, but that's something
We
that
have
I've
to be
heard.
careful with that. There are some people on the right that say things about Ukraine that I don't know if it's true or not. It might be true, but there's so many very
It's also
anti-Ukrainian people on the right that we have to be careful.